Hello and welcome to ESL Podcast's third anniversary video podcast. We are now 3 years old, and as we do every year, we are recording a short video podcast for you. This year, we asked you to send us some questions to answer, and in this podcast, I and Lucy will be answering some of your questions. So, the first question is, how did the podcast get started? Well, back in the spring of 2005, 3 years ago, I read about podcasting in the newspaper, and I decided to investigate it and learn about it. It sounded very interesting, a very good way to reach many people directly. And I wanted to do some more English teaching over the internet. And on July 22nd, 2005, we had our first ESL podcast episode. And here we are, 3 years later. The podcast originally was done by me during the first week or two, and then Dr. Lucy Say came and started writing the scripts and helping produce the podcast and basically making it more professional. And Lucy and I now work together as a team to do that. We also have other people that help us now with the podcast in different ways. Adriano, our webmaster, is an excellent technical person, and he helps us with all of the website information that we need. We have Jessica, who does a lot of our writing, especially for the learning guides, and she also now does some customer service. She helps us with our communications with you, the listener. And we also have Sue, who does what we call post-production. She does all of the editing and putting the audio together and making sure everything sounds good. And she also does some video editing. So Sue is an expert in many things. And we are very lucky to have someone as talented as Adriano, someone as smart and as creative as Jessica, and someone who is such an expert in all things technical, that being Sue. Next question is, how did we think people would receive the podcast? Did we think it would be a success? And the answer is absolutely not. We were very surprised, shocked, when we got 100 listeners, and then 500 listeners, and soon after 1,000 listeners. Now we have thousands and thousands of listeners all over the world, and we are very happy but very surprised, and we have always been surprised by that. Someone asked, how long does it take to record and produce the podcast? Well, if you start from the writing of the script, which Lucy does, and the learning guides, and the recording, and the editing, and the web work, and all of the rest, it's probably a total time for all of us together of somewhere between 10 and 12 hours per episode. Each episode. So we do 3 episodes a week, plus we do special courses. So it's a very big job, but we love doing it. We really enjoy it. Someone was commenting on my reading of the scripts and wanted to know if I had an acting career, if I was an actor. Well, I live here in Hollywood, in Los Angeles. And actually, I was an actor many years ago, more than 20 years ago. I was in a movie, you may have heard of it, called Star Wars with Harrison Ford. Harrison's a great guy. I was the character called Chewbacca, who was the big gorilla with all the hair all over his body. That was me. And unfortunately, as you can see, no more hair, so no more acting jobs for me. When did Lucy and I first meet? Well, Lucy and I met more than 15 years ago. We met in graduate school. We were both studying here in Southern California, and we met at, I think, the first class we had together. We were studying the similar subject. We also worked in the same building, teaching English to international students at the university. So we've known each other for a very long time. Now, some of you have also asked questions of Lucy, and many of you wanted to see what Lucy looks like. So I'm going to invite Lucy. Lucy, would you like to come and sit down?
Sure. Hi, Jeff. Hi,
Hi,
everybody.
Hi, Lucy. Thank you for coming.
Jeff, you're the tech expert, but are you sure the camera is on both of us?
Yeah, let me see here. Yeah, there it is. It's there. It's there.
Okay. Some of you asked questions of me as well, so I'll answer a few of those. One of you wanted to know how I came up with the script ideas for the podcasts. To me, the scripts are just a small part of the podcast, really. Jeff does all of the hard work. Coming up with the script ideas isn't that difficult. I tried to think of situations that are common or that may be helpful, and then I write a script around that. Some of the script ideas are sent to us from the listeners, like you, and I want to thank all of you for your suggestions. Those are very, very helpful to me. For me, writing the scripts is one of the best parts of my job. It's really fun to do. Another question is, what is it like working with Jeff? As Jeff said, we have known each other for many, many years. In the old days, when we were graduate students, and then later as professors, we worked with each other quite a lot, doing research and doing writing projects. We both have strong opinions, but since Jeff has all the good ideas, and he's always right, it's great working with him. There's a saying, what you see is what you get. Jeff, on the podcast, is the way he is in real life. He's very funny, and he sings just as well as he does on the podcast. I know, because my office is right next to his. And the last question we're going to be answering is for both of us. A listener wanted to know if we get tired of doing the podcast. What about you, Jeff?
No, I don't get tired of doing the podcast. I love doing the podcast. I love doing the recording and all of the other things. So no, I have not and do not get tired of the podcast.
Me neither. I like the creative part of it, thinking of new ideas, the writing part of it, and I love hearing from our listeners. So I can imagine doing this for the next 20 years. Right, Jeff?
20 years?
20 years.
Sure, yeah, 20 years, absolutely.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're out of time. Like Jeff, I want to thank all of our fabulous listeners for their support, especially our members and our donors who make it possible for us to continue our work and allow us to continue producing these podcasts. So, Jeff, would you like to do a little singing for us before we leave?
Well, I would. Thank you, Lucy, for asking me. And I want to thank Lucy here for coming on, and especially for being on camera like this, and so people can see you. I think that's really important.
Now that everyone sees what I look like, there's no mystery anymore.
Right. You'll be recognized everywhere now. So now I would like to sing, but my my voice is a little sore today. So I promise I will do more singing, though, on the regular podcast. So from Los Angeles, California, I'm Jeff McQuillan.
And I'm Lucy Say.
And we thank you for watching.